Chapter 819 The number 1 Divine Realm Expert isn't that formidable. Chapter 819. The number 1 Divine Realm Expert isn't that formidable. Bang! There was a sound of a heavy impact as he hit the ground, which caused the blood battle arena to shake violently. Seconds later, everything subsided. Only silence followed. A deathly silence hung over the whole blood battle arena. The entire audience, including the ordinary warriors, the subordinates of the Lord of Circus Island, and the experts from the Xia clan, watched the scene in disbelief. He lost. Someone finally broke the silence, and then the whole blood battle arena burst into shouting and heated discussions. He lost. The number 1 Divine Realm Expert in the Eternal World has been defeated. And it was a miserable defeat. Within 3 strikes. Many warriors muttered in horror. The fight took place under their very eyes, so they saw everything clearly. It was the truth. Xia Yan was miserably defeated within only 3 strikes. With only 3 strikes. The first strike made Xia Yan spit blood and seriously injured him. The second strike knocked the saber out of his hand. The third strike hit Xia Yan hard and knocked him into the ground. It was a quick attack. And if Jian Wushuang had not shown mercy, Xia Yan would have died. All in all, Xia Yan was completely overpowered by Jian Wushuang. There was no room for Xia Yan to fight back. The gap between their strength was enormous. Before their fight, Xia Yan was known as the number 1 Divine Realm Expert in the Eternal World, while Jian Wushuang was just an ordinary Divine Realm Expert. While the audience still remained in shock, Jian Wushuang walked off the arena to the ground below. Xia Yan was pale and covered in blood. He struggled to get up but failed. At this moment, 2 experts of the Xia clan hurriedly came to him and helped him up. After getting up, Xia Yan had barely managed to look up when he saw Jian Wushuang coming slowly toward him with an emotionless expression on his face. The number 1 Divine Realm Expert isn't that formidable, Jian Wushuang said nonchalantly. The number 1 Divine Realm Expert isn't that formidable? Everyone in the surrounding area repeated those words in their mind. It frightened them. However, they secretly admired Jian Wushuang and approved of his words. Although Xia Yan was known as the number 1 Divine Realm Expert in the Eternal World, he was much weaker than Jian Wushuang. So to speak, when compared with Jian Wushuang, he really was not that formidable. But those words shattered Xia Yan's source of pride. His face twisted and the eyes he used to look at Jian Wushuang were full of the greatest venom. Swordsman! Xia Yan growled while clenching his hands, with a hint of madness in his voice. Is there anything wrong with what I said? Jian Wushuang asked indifferently. If you can be called the number 1 Divine Realm Expert in the Eternal World, there will be too many number 1 Divine Realm Experts of the Eternal World. He added in a flat voice. Oh, I heard that your elder brother is recognized as the number 1 Eternal Realm Expert of the Eternal World, and the youngest expert in the Eternal Realm in history. Is that right? The number 1 Eternal Realm Expert in the Eternal World. I had been looking forward to meeting him before, but after meeting you, Humph, his title is probably an empty reputation as well. You bastard! Xia Yan was so angry that he couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood again. At this moment, Humph! A cold snort suddenly sounded at the edge of the arena. The glum elder of the Xia clan looked up at Jian Wushuang and said, Junior, are you trying to provoke our Xia clan? Provoke you? Jian Wushuang shook his head calmly, and said, No, how would I dare to provoke the most powerful overlord clan in the Tang of the East? I'm just stating the truth. Humph, you are just stating the truth? The glum elder shot back. His eyes had become freezing cold and even flashed with a slight killing intent. Haha, Mr. He, it's just a fight between the younger generation. Don't take it too seriously. The Lord of Circus Island mediated. The second master is powerful and we have already seen it with our own eyes. But the eternal world is vast. As the saying goes, there is always a higher mountain. It's normal that there are 1 or 2 Divine Realm Experts stronger than him. The glum elder squinted, but since the Lord of Circus Island intervened, he could say no more. All right, what has happened today is nothing more than my daughter's nonsense. Please don't take it too seriously, everybody. Let's go back to the feast, the Lord of Circus Island said as he led the experts away. Although the people of the Xia clan were unwilling to leave like this, They would not offend the Lord of Sursus Island while they were on Sursus Island, so they also left. Xia Yan left with the help of 2 experts from the Xia clan. However, before he left, he continuously glared at Jian Wushuang with obvious resentment. On the contrary, Lin Wan was smiling. She took a glance at Jian Wushuang and thanked him in a low voice as she left. Many experts had left, so Jian Wushuang had no intention of remaining. Under the countless gazes filled with awe, he walked out of the blood battle arena along with Yang Zixuan. As soon as they were out of the blood battle arena, Yang Zixuan said, "Well done, third brother. You defeated Xia Yan in only 3 strikes. It will not be long before the experts from all the powers in the eternal world start calling you the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. It's just an empty honor. It is of no use and will even cause a lot of trouble instead." Jian Wushuang shook his head with a wry smile. He didn't care about the title at all. "By the way, why did you help Miss Wanner deal with Xia Yan? That's not your usual style. Do you have something against Xia Yan? Why did you humiliate him after you beat him?" Yang Zixuan inquired. He could see that Jian Wushuang had humiliated Xia Yan deliberately. "I humiliated him?" Jian Wushuang sniffed. "I was just testing him. But I didn't expect him to be so bitter. And it was all written on his face. He can't even control his emotions. He's obviously an idiot. I don't think Xia Yan will let this matter rest. Since Xia Yan is an idiot, I wonder what his elder brother will be like," Jian Wushuang said. There was a strange flash of emotions in his eyes. What he cared about was not Xia Yan, but his elder brother and the Xia clan. What he had just done in the blood battle arena was, in fact, only a preliminary test. Before he promised to help Lin Wan, he knew that helping her would definitely offend Xia Yan and the Xia clan, so he was already prepared for the consequences. Besides, he would definitely prevent Lung Rushuang from marrying into the Xia clan. Anyway, he would become an enemy of the Xia clan sooner or later. Setting things in motion now just meant that he was a little ahead of schedule, so it didn't matter to him. Chapter 820 Hatred. Chapter 820 Hatred. Since a large number of experts had witnessed the fight between Jian Wushuang and Xia Yan in the blood battle arena, it was impossible to hide the results. The news spread like wildfire. In less than a day, the result of their fight had spread throughout Sursus Island and become the favorite topic of countless warriors on Sursus Island. No one had expected the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, Xia Yan, to be miserably defeated by an expert in the same realm. Jian Wushuang even defeated him with only 3 strikes. He was seriously injured by the first strike, had his weapon knocked out of his hand by the second strike, and would have been killed by the third strike if Jian Wushuang had not held back. After that battle, everyone knew that the title of the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world had changed hands. At the same time, Swordsman, a name seldom heard before, suddenly became well known to the public. As the news that Swordsman beat Xia Yan spread, some of his battle results on Sursus Island had been dug up. Like how, during the fights between divine realm experts in the blood battle arena, he won 10 times in a row and each of his opponents were defeated with a single blow. And when he fought with Lei Xian of the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion head-on Sursus Island, he was only at a disadvantage. When those battle results became known, people accepted the fact that Swordsman had defeated Xia Yan. After all, Lei Xian was an expert at the peak of Step 5 of the Eternal Realm. If Swordsman could compete with him, it was normal for Swordsman to defeat Xia Yan. But Xia Yan, who had been easily defeated by Jian Wushuang, was furious. "Kill him, I'll kill him." In a grand palace, Xia Yan, who still looked pale, was roaring wildly, shattering the tables, chairs, and even some of the decorations. At this moment, his ferocious face was full of venom, which made him look like a hungry beast. "I want to kill him, Elder He. I want to kill both of them, Swordsman and that bitch Lin Wan. I want them dead." His roar could almost shake the house. Fortunately, Elder He had placed a restriction around the palace to prevent the sound from spreading, or else his roar would surely have attracted attention from plenty of experts. "Second Master, calm down." The glum elder frowned at Xia Yan. "Calm down? I'm the second master of the Xia clan, the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. But I was defeated by an unknown divine realm expert with 3 strikes, and he even publicly mocked and humiliated me. How could I calm down when I feel so humiliated? Xia Yin shouted while glaring at Elder He. Elder He gave a slight sigh after listening to his words. The Xia clan was a big clan who possessed a profound history and great power within the eternal world. Therefore, most forces would not dare to offend them, but it also led to some core disciples of the Xia clan not being able to receive the proper training. Their second master, Xia Yan, was one of them. He had been arrogant since he was a child. Since the Xia clan and his elder brother had been protecting him and clearing all the obstacles in his path, everything had always gone the way he wanted, so he grew more and more arrogant. And this arrogance would always burst out when he was faced with a real setback. If he were not so arrogant, then he would have at least been able to remain rational and calm on the surface. He would not have lost his cool when he was defeated by Jian Wushuang with 3 strikes. Elder He, I've said that I want them dead, Xia Yin said gloomily. Elder He squinted at him, and then shook his head. Lin Wan is the daughter of the Lord of Circus Island and he is not a common expert. He governed such a vast island near the Tang of the East. Apart from other things in terms of personal strength alone, the only person in our clan besides the ancestor who could compete with him is probably the master. Plus he has various friends. Of the 4 great rulers in the Tang of the East, 3 of them are good friends of his, with the exception of Empress Qing. If it's not necessary, our Xia clan will never make enemies with such a man. This time we came here in hopes that you could marry Lin Wan and bring the Lord of Circus Island over to our camp. But no one expected this result. Elder He, do you mean that I can't deal with that bitch Lin Wan? Xia Yin asked with a somber look on his face. Yes, Elder He nodded seriously. You must never hurt Lin Wan. As for Swordsman, the man who defeated you, he's not a common expert either. He's not a common expert? He was a nobody. What's so special about him? Xia Yin hastened to ask. Humph, you're a divine realm expert, but so is he. You're a genius that I spent countless resources to cultivate, but he defeated you with 3 strikes. You still think he's a common expert? Elder He cast a brief glance at Xia Yin and added, I'm sure his background must be unusual. He's also not common. Does that mean I have to suffer this disgrace without doing anything? Xia Yin yelled in a low voice. To suffer this disgrace without doing anything? No, Elder He denied. You're the second master of our Xia clan, and he humiliated you in front of so many people. If we have no action at all, our Xia clan will lose face. We will definitely deal with him, but we have to be careful about how we do it. Then he added, hold it in for a few days. I'll have someone keep an eye on him and investigate his background immediately. If he has no backer or his background is not powerful, we will just kill him. However, if he has an unusual background, we'll have to find a way to kill him that can't be traced back to us. The Xia clan is currently in their most critical period. All the years of planning that our clan and the ancestor have made is finally coming to fruition. During this period, we need to try not to provoke others. After this period, our clan will reach a whole new level. By then, no matter what background a person like Swordsman has, the person would be directly crushed to death by the mountain that is our Xia clan. Once Xia Yin heard these words, his anger temporarily subsided. I get it. Then let him live a few days longer. Xia Yan's eyes were full of poison as he said, as for that bitch Lin Wan, you'll see. Wait until the Xia clan finishes passing through this critical period and reaches a new level. At that point, I'll make you regret what you've done to me. If their plan comes true, our clan won't care about the Lord of Circus Island. At that time you'll be able to do whatever you want, Elder He sneered. For the next few days Xia Yin really did stay in his mansion, not even leaving it once. In the meantime, Elder He had sent someone to investigate Jian Wushuang's background. Along with their profound history, the Xia clan also had a very good intelligence network. Within only a few days they found out all about his background. In fact, when still in the ancient world, she had once asked him for help, removing the poison out of her. However, at that time he only managed to remove a very small amount of the poison, which helped her little. The poison must have gone much deeper into her body. I have to find her as sooner as possible. Some old memory rushed back to him. At that time I was in a low realm and could not really help her. But now I've reached the divine realm. I may not be able to cure her, but I can at least prevent it from growing worse. Second brother, Miss Warner, it's getting late and I must take my leave. Jian Wushuang folded his hands and turned away. As soon as Jian Wushuang started off, the man who kept watch on him immediately sent a message back to Xia Yan about his leave. Haha, Jian Wushuang, at long last you left the island. Having received the message, Xia Yan let out overjoyed laughter in his temple. For fear of provoking gossip, I did not kill you on the island. But as long as you're killed outside here, no one will suspect me of your death. Xia Yan clenched his fists, and a sharp glint crossed his eyes. You two follow me. He ordered 2 guards in silver beside him. Those 2 men were in charge of protecting him, and they exchanged glances after hearing his words. One of them questioned gingerly, Master, should we inform Elder He of our plan before we exit? No, we needn't. Xia Yan shook his head. Chapter 822 The Retaliation. Chapter 822 The Retaliation. Xia Yan paused for a while before continuing in an undertone. Elder He discussed some important issues with His Excellency for those days. We shouldn't bother him. Moreover, Jian Wushuang is in the divine realm, thus with you two helping me, his death is assured. The 2 guards nodded in approval. Obviously, they were confident in their power. After all, they were in the 6 steps of the eternal realm. In no time, Xia Yan departed with the 2 guards. They followed Jian Wushuang in secret. In the void tens of thousands of kilometers away from Circus Island, the black-robed Jian Wushuang walked forward alone, long sword strapped across his back. After he crossed the vast land below him, he arrived in the Tang of the East. Right then, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 figures approached him from behind at an amazing speed. 2 of them moved especially fast that the next moment Jian Wushuang saw them, they stood in front of him. Finally, you've come. Jian Wushuang crossed his arms, not surprised at the sudden arrival of the 2 men one bit. Swordsman. An icy voice of malice echoed behind Jian Wushuang. The slower of the 3 figures arrived as well. Jian Wushuang turned back only to see Xia Yan stand nearby with a grim smile on his face. Seeing him, Jian Wushuang smirked. He expected Xia Yan, who had always been a vengeful man, would not concede seeking revenge. He also knew that it was because he had been on Circus Island during the last half a month that Xia Yan took no action. Now, since he left the island, Xia Yan no longer need wait. For what reason do you stand in my way, sir? Jian Wushuang asked while looking at Xia Yan with a twitching, faint smile. What do you think it might be? Xia Yan's voice chilled the air. Half a month ago, you humiliated me in front of so many people, and do you really believe I'll let you go after doing such a heinous act? Heh! Who would have thought the second master of the Xia clan would be such a narrow-minded man? Jian Wushuang said, then continued smiling. He looked towards the 2 men in silver and asked, Are these 2 gentlemen your guards? Exactly. My father has them follow me, and guess what? They are both in the 6 steps of the eternal realm. Xia Yan answered. He not only confirmed the 2 men's identities, but also revealed their power. The 6 steps of the eternal realm? Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed slightly. With each step in the eternal realm more powerful than the prior one, the 6 steps made a huge difference when compared to the 5 steps. Now Jian Wushuang faced 2 experts at such an absurd level. Luckily, I've restrained my power when I fought Xia Yan on the blood battle arena, which made him think I was in the 5 steps. Otherwise, he would have brought more than 2 guards here to kill me. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. Among all the experts in the Xia clan, he feared Elder He the most. If he were to battle this elder at that moment, he would definitely lose. Regarding Xia Yan not asking the elder, but instead the 2 guards for help, Jian Wushuang believed he could handle them on his own. Jian Wushuang did not inform them with his true intentions, but said, Brought 2 experts in the 6 steps of the eternal realm here to kill me? Xia Yan, you really think too highly of me. Jian Wushuang sneered and a glint of malice flashed in his eyes. It seems as though I must die here today. Of course. Xia Yan said in a deep voice, nowadays everyone in the eternal world speaks of you as the #1 divine realm expert. But a dead man does not deserve that honor. I will claim this title after I kill you. Finally, I knew what means you kept your title as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Jian Wushuang sneered in disdain. Seeing that, Xia Yan echoed coldly, what can you do even knowing this? Don't tell me you intend on surviving today. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows at those words. With no more talk exchanged, he pulled out the message token he received from Lin Wan. They were not far from Circus Island, so if he relayed a message to Lin Wan asking for assistance, there would be someone on their way soon. However, when Jian Wushuang tried to do so, he found his message could not exit the void where it resided. What goes on? He asked in confusion. Ha ha! Seeing Jian Wushuang's reaction, Xia Yan bellowed. Swordsman, you honestly believe I came here to kill you without added precautions? I knew that the bitch Lin Wan cared for you and gave you her message token before leaving, therefore, just in case, I set up a restriction covering this area while I conversed with you. This restriction is a Dao master's work and severs the connections between its inside and outside. That's to say, at this moment in this void, your message token doesn't work. No one will come to save you. Really? Jian Wushuang furrowed his brow. He put the token back in his interspatial ring and smiled again and said, Xia Yan, it seems I've underestimated you. You are more cunning than I've believed. Kill him. Xia Yan's frosty voice spurred his guards to arms. He ran out of patience and desired no more idle chat. Taking his order, the guards' eyes flickered as they charged Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stood still, looking at the guards coldly. If what Xia Yan said is true, he can't send out a message either. In order to help Lin Wan, I stepped onto the blood battle arena to fight him, but I didn't mean to humiliate him at that time. I thought it a temptation to him and the Xia clan. But now, since he courts death, I'm not the one at fault. Jian Wushuang roared in an inaudible manner. An overwhelming killing intent lurched up high behind him like a tidal wave of hatred. At the same time, with a buzz of his bloodline power, his body grew at a tremendous speed, and the next second he transformed into a 15-meter gold-armored ancient god. In one of his hand, he gripped an extended red sword about 12 meters in length. The Blood Mountain sword. Since he faced 2 experts in 6 steps of the Eternal Realm, he decided to go all out. Chapter 823 Fight with 6 Steps of the Eternal Realm Experts. Chapter 823 Fight with 6 Steps of the Eternal Realm Experts. The gold-armored ancient god Jian Wushuang transformed held the Blood Mountain sword, his overbearing aura making him look like the lord of the world. The guards flinched in surprise by Jian Wushuang's aura, but continued rushing him. They never met any divine realm expert with an aura as domineering this one. However, as experts in 6 steps of the Eternal Realm, they were unaffected by it. Go to hell! Die! The guards yelled one after the other, and attacked Jian Wushuang from the left and right simultaneously. One of them held a long gold spear, and as the spear shined like a dragon dashing out to sea, air-piercing, frightening sounds echoed. The other one brandished a long black whip, which looked more like a black snake. It lashed at Jian Wushuang's throat in a strange way as if it to garrote him. Neither guard restrained their power. Their moves fully demonstrated their strength. Seeing the moves, Jian Wushuang was not fearful but excited. The next second, a red cloud floated out of his sword as he leaped. Bam! The void suffered a sudden shake. Jian Wushuang's sword stabbed straight to meet the spear and whip. How could a divine realm expert not retreat when facing the attacks of 2 6 steps of the Eternal Realm experts? You want to fight blow for blow. How dare you? You court death. Seeing Jian Wushuang's move, the guards strengthened their attacks. Clang! Thwack! 2 dull, crashing sounds vibrated and echoed through the air. Jian Wushuang stepped back and leaped forward again. His sword struck twice. 2 sword lights flashed away at once. The strikes appeared simple, but were subtly exquisite. So much so, the 2 guards could not help hiding the impressed wide eyes. This body blocked our attacks. Yeah, and more than that, he fought back so quickly. The two guards wore surprised looks on their faces while talking. They effortlessly warded off Jian Wushuang's exquisite blows. However, Jian Wushuang charged at them again. In a split second, they closed the distance and resumed fighting. Clang! 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 The continuous crashing sounds deafened everything throughout their death match, and seemingly exchanged 100 blows. Yet, no sign showed that Jian Wushuang was overpowered. How could it be possible? Xia Yan thought, watching with an agape jaw. The two guards must have felt the same. He produced a close battle against us. Make no mistake. This boy is in the 6 steps as well. One of the guards shouted. He restrained his power on the blood battle arena last time. The other guard echoed with a grave expression. There is something wrong with my spear. The spear guard glanced down at his weapon in shock. There is a damage to my spear. His sword is peculiar. So was my whip. The two guards gazed at Jian Wushuang's blood mountain sword. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang smiled coldly, yet confidently. The sword in his hand was crafted by his master, Xian Yi, and possessed incredible might. In terms of battle strength, Jian Wushuang was in the 5 steps. However, with the power of the Blood Mountain sword, he exerted the power of a 6 steps expert. Apart from that, he was proficient at close combat and fighting out a besiege. Therefore, even under the 2 6 steps expert's fury, he stood his ground. Most of all, the Blood Mountain sword's toughness and sharp edge broke off Lei Xian's magic weapon with 5 strikes. The two guards' weapons were at the same level as the magic weapon, and though Jian Wushuang was less powerful than the two guards, he had only managed to cause a slight crack on the guards' weapons after 100 blows. If the two guards were in 5 steps, he would have broken their weapons long ago. This boy is really unusual. Let's end this fight quickly, the spear guard said to his companion icily. The next moment, his aura surged, and his body expanded in width. His muscles bulged and his silver clothes ripped. In an instant, he looked like a feral beast. The same thing happened to the other guard. They appeared far more powerful than before. Are they displaying a secret skill? Jian Wushuang thought, snickering out loud. Although he knew he was correct. They must have displayed a secret skill to reform their bodies and increase their power. Howl! One of the guards roared, and immediately dived at Jian Wushuang again. Seeing that the guards moved faster than before, Jian Wushuang pointed his sword defensively. It has been difficult for me to battle them before they used this secret skill. Now it will prove even more difficult. I am no longer their match. Jian Wushuang shook his head and gulped. The next second, he waved his hand and a flowing light flashed through the air. The light turned into a strong-built puppet fighter in the blink of an eye. Faceless, the puppet rushed the two guards. At the same time, about 1,000,000 divine gems were consumed inside the interspatial ring on his right index finger as he clenched his right hand, punching the guards with that power. An earth-shattering blow with the power of the superior 6 steps behind it. The two guards were the targets. The two remained calm, staring down the blow. They could tell it was powerful but were unafraid. They swung their weapons at the puppets in unison. Boom! A thunderclap echoed all around. Where the sound came from, the void cracked like a glass window. Chapter 824. The First Streak of Sword Essence. Chapter 824. The First Streak of Sword Essence. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two guards hurtled back almost at the same time. How could this be? This puppet fighter is really powerful. They all wore wide eyes and agape jaws as they looked on in shock. They went all out and joined their hands, but were still frustrated by the fist. This puppet fighter's power far exceeded their expectations. While the puppet fighter battled the two guards, Jian Wushuang turned to deal with Xia Yan. Phew! He charged Xia Yan like a huge magic sword, piercing through the void. A sliver of dark gold light flashed in his eyes as he looked at him. You wish me dead. But I'd love to witness who the dead one will truly be. As Jian Wushuang growled, his killing intent enveloped Xia Yan. Shit! Xia Yan grimaced with a gloomy expression when seeing this. Despite his insatiable desire to kill Jian Wushuang, He admitted that he was no match for him. Back then on the blood battle arena, Jian Wushuang defeated him with 3 weak strikes. Now, if Jian Wushuang went all out, he would be killed without question. Xia Yan remained calm at such a critical point and took out a copper sheet. The copper sheet looked normal, however. As he squeezed it tightly, the copper twisted and released an enormous power. Kaboom! The sky darkened and all the nearby creatures trembled. The power all flowed to one place in the air, forming a huge bronze palm. The palm was so large that it covered half of the area and seemed able to destroy everything there. Hidden behind the palm, Xia Yan looked at Jian Wushuang with a ferocious smile while reflecting, "I had thought that those 2 guards could kill you all by themselves, but I didn't expect your trump card, the puppet fighter. Now I've shown you my trump card as well. You must feel proud. Go kill him." As Xia Yan hollered the order in a low voice, the bronze palm immediately fell toward Jian Wushuang, crushing the void and everything in its path. Where it passed, space burst, causing a spatial turbulence in a large area. Is this a Dao Master's power? Jian Wushuang swallowed hard while staring at the palm. It was so large and powerful that Jian Wushuang felt himself a tiny ant before an elephant. Its power paralyzed him. His power lives up to his status as the second master of the Xia clan. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed in a chilling manner, managing to remain calm. There was never a time when he did not take it for granted that Xia Yan, the second master of the Xia clan, owned a life-saving item. He witnessed him eliminate an emperor weapon before. Therefore, it was certain that a person who possessed an emperor weapon would have some life-saving items. It's time to use my life-saving item. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed even more as he took out a token. He received the token from his master, Xianyi, and inside it resided 3 streaks of sword essence. Using his will, he got hold of the first streak of sword essence. Then it will be a battle between your palm and my sword essence. Jian Wushuang ground his teeth. Just as the bronze palm was about to fall and crush him, a slight echo of the sword sounded. Following that, a dazzling sword light flashed where he stood. The light was thin and short, about 2 meters in length. However, there lay a formidable power behind it. The light shot forward and cut the void open, leaving a black gap. At an amazing speed, it hit right at the palm behind which was the full power of a Dao Master. A loud slashing sound echoed throughout the place when the light cut the palm into 2 parts down the middle. From the cut, a great amount of power radiated wildly toward the surroundings. The light was not weakened after it hit the palm. It came slashing towards Xia Yan under Jian Wushuang's will. Xing! The light was blindingly fast. It slashed through Xia Yan's body before he could react. He remained what he looked like before, only his bulged eyes were full of horror and disbelief. Making a life-saving item and storing power in it was very hard. Therefore, Xia Yan's copper sheet proved extremely precious. It had taken a powerful Dao Master in his clan a lot of time to make it at a cost. Though some power had been lost during its storage, the power it released rivaled that of a Dao Master. His father gave him this precious thing with the hope it could save his life someday in an emergency. That was the only life-saving item he owned despite his noble background. He never dreamed that Jian Wushuang's life-saving item was much more powerful than his. So much more powerful, in fact. The power behind that light could overpower a Dao Master easily. After crumbling the bronze palm, it killed Xia Yan, and even after that, the light still radiated a mighty power. Under Jian Wushuang's will, the sword light flashed toward the 2 guards. Who created this sword light? With this question, Xia Yan lost the last trace of his consciousness. The second master of the Xia clan, the former number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, died. Chapter 825 Fury. Chapter 825 Fury. Second master. No! Seeing Xia Yan's death, both the 2 guards turned pale with fright. After they saw the sword light flash towards them under Jian Wushuang's control, their fright plateaued. Just 2 guards with no life-saving item like Xia Yan. The sword light still looked powerful after crumbling the bronze palm and killing Xia Yan. The power behind it diminished by 1/10, But it was the power of a Dao master, which the two guards, as two eternal realm experts, could never withstand all the same. Damn! We're finished. The sword light stabbed the two guards at an amazing speed and pierced through their bodies one after the other, destroying their life cores. After that, the sword light finally disappeared in the air. Above the sea, with a wave of his hand, Jian Wushuang swiped the three dead men's treasures and interspatial rings and shattered their bodies. He sighed in relief after finishing and observed the token in his hand. Master said the first streak of sword essence was the weakest one among the three in this token. He narrowed his eyes while recalling Xian Yi's words. The sword essence he wielded mimicked the first streak, however. It still crumbled Xia Yan's bronze palm, behind which was the power of a Dao master too. Obviously, the palm proved no match for his sword essence. With the first streak of sword essence being so powerful, what about the other two streaks of sword essence? How powerful can they be? The Sunrise Sword Emperor, who crafted those sword essences, how powerful could he be? Jian Wushuang wandered in those thoughts for a moment. Shaking his head, he stopped mulling over it and looked around while murmuring to himself, "I'd better leave this place now." He set off at once. An hour later, after he left, an old figure appeared at this void. He none other than Elder He, the great Dao master of the Xia clan. He had a grave expression when he appeared. With chilling eyes, he scanned around and sensed the restrictions Xia Yan set and some remaining energy of the fight. Yes, right here, second master caught up with Jian Wushuang and battled him. He was less powerful than Jian Wushuang, but the two guards with him were the 6 steps of the Eternal Realm experts. Besides, he also had a life-saving item that master gave him. It should have been easy for him to kill Jian Wushuang, however. He was the who perished. You're reading on Novelful, thanks. The elder stroked his chin and pondered quietly. The core disciples of Xia clan all had an object attached to their life in the clan. Therefore, the moment Xia Yan died, the clan knew it. Soon Elder He realized it and rushed to the void where Xia Yan died. Could it be Jian Wushuang killed second master? But Jian Wushuang is just a divine realm expert without any background. How could he kill second master and his 2 guards? Besides, master said that he sensed second master use that copper sheet. So why did second master die all the same? The elder frowned hard while trying to deduce the heart of the matter. Right then, he spotted a faint streak of sword essence gleaming in the air. This sword essence is so powerful. It's the king of the sword. Invincible. Even though most of its power dissipated, it is still sharp and fierce. The person who created it must be extremely formidable. In the eternal world, no more than 5 people can create such a powerful sword essence. Who exactly is this person? A chilling light flashed in the elder's eyes. No matter who you are, I won't let you escape. Above the vast sea, Jian Wushuang marched forward without delay. Long sword straddled across his back. Having been far away from where he battled Xia Yan and sure that the Xia clansmen could not catch up, he finally rested on an uninhabited island. The Xia clan will be furious when they learn of Xia Yan's death. He thought to himself. Being the son of the master of the Xia clan and the brother of the #1 exceptional genius, as well as the youngest eternal realm expert in the eternal world, Xia Yan attained a high status in his clan. In no way would the clan not be enraged by his death. That was to say, Jian Wushuang offended the clan incredibly this time. He had to kill Xia Yan at that time, otherwise it would have been him. He might be a negligible man to the Xia clan, but even a rabbit would bite if cornered. Since Xia Yan had wished to kill him, no matter how eminent this man was, he dared to fight back. This was what kind of a person Jian Wushuang was. Since there is a grudge between Xia Yan and me, the clan must have known that he had ventured out to kill me. When they discover his death, they will conclude that I'm the murderer. As it's too easy for them to trace my background, Master and the ancient sect may be involved in this matter. Jian Wushuang pondered with a curled lower lip. I have to inform Master of this in advance, buying him some time to prepare for it. Having made up his mind, Jian Wushuang connected with Xian Yi, informing him of the whole thing. Xian Yi remained cool after hearing Jian Wushuang's words. He responded quickly to him, I figured as much. Don't worry, no harm will befall on sect. But you should still be careful. And don't get yourself killed by the Xia clan. Having received his master's reply, Jian Wushuang sighed in great relief. He did not worry about himself. What concerned him more was that Xianyi and the ancient sect would be dragged into this matter. After getting the reassuring response from his master, the burden weighing his heart lifted. Master is mighty. Besides, senior brother is now one of the 18 masters of the Void Temple. Given this, the Xia clan will reconsider before they strike the ancient sect. I weep at my own weakness. Powerful enough to frighten the Xia clan, they dare not mutter even a single word against me for killing a scum like Xia Yan. For a while, Jian Wushuang's complex feelings overwhelmed him, but he shook his head and ceased his pondering. By the way, as the second master of the Xia clan must be rich and have many treasures. Let me see if any of them can be of any use. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang quickly pulled out Xia Yan's interspatial ring. He searched it meticulously. Chapter 826 Divergent Bloodstones. Chapter 826 Divergent Bloodstones. After a careful check, Jian Wushuang was surprised by what he had found in Xia Yan's interspatial ring. The second master of the Xia clan is indeed rich. He has 500 million divine gems in his ring. Jian Wushuang let out a low cry. In the eternal world, the total assets of an average Dao master would be about 1 billion divine gems. It was such a great number that when the 3 magnates in the firmament territory were asked to give out this amount of divine gems, they were distressed. However, as a divine realm expert, Xia clan had possessed 500 million divine gems, which was amazing. Apart from the divine gems, Jian Wushuang also found many treasures in Xia Yan's interspatial ring, including some natural treasures, many of which he did not recognize. Those things could also be of great value. Besides those, he also found some superior and precious secret skills. Though there was not a great number of them, they were worth a lot all the same. After a count, Jian Wushuang estimated that the value of Xia Yan's interspatial ring was as much as the total assets of a Dao master. Among all the treasures in the ring, 3 of them held the most value. The first one was the purple saber that Xia Yan had used to battle Jian Wushuang in the blood battle arena. The saber was, in fact, an emperor weapon, a weapon that would be valued even by a Dao master. However, to Jian Wushuang it was useless. Thus he decided to exchange it for some other treasures or divine gems when it was necessary. The second treasure was a mysterious scroll. The scroll looked ancient, and from it, Jian Wushuang sensed a trace of terrifying sword essence. At first glance, Jian Wushuang had a feeling that the scroll would be very useful to him in cultivating the sword principle someday. Without a doubt, he knew the scroll was a rare treasure related to sword principle. To his disappointment, there was a complicated restriction on the scroll preventing him from opening it. He figured that it must be very hard to open it, otherwise Xia Yan would have managed to do so, as it had been in his possession for some time. If he was unable, there would have been many restriction makers in his clan to help him. Therefore, if the restriction on the scroll could have been removed, any one of them would have done so. This scroll is unusual. I can't open it now, but Master is skillful and excellent in refining weapons, elixirs, and making puppets as well as formations. When I return back to the sect, I can ask him for help. He may know how to open it, Jian Wushuang thought. Thinking of this, he put the scroll away and turned to the last one of the 3 most precious treasures. He was very happy with what he saw. Among the 3 treasures, this one surprised even more than the others. This treasure was called the Divergent Bloodstone. The Divergent Bloodstone is a rare treasure which can attack people's consciousness. He had gotten the information from inside the Divergent Bloodstone. More accurately, the Divergent Bloodstone was a magic weapon made by human beings. However, it was quite unique. Like other magic weapons, the Divergent Bloodstone could greatly increase people's offensive power, but the power was also related to consciousness attacks. This kind of attack could damage an opponent's consciousness, and potentially could completely destroy it. There were also some other skills in the eternal world that could affect people's consciousness, such as illusion skill, but those skills could only bewilder and cause people to hallucinate. They would not actually harm their consciousness. Therefore, they were not actually attacks on the consciousness. The skills that could attack people's consciousness were extremely rare in the eternal world. The odds of finding someone who knew of such skills was 1 in a million. After all, consciousness was too abstruse, and only by obscure means could an expert create it. Therefore, consciousness attacks were rarely seen in that world. For those who mastered consciousness attacks, the divergent bloodstone was of great use, but for those who had not, it would be rendered useless. The reason why Jian Wushuang was so happy when he saw the divergent bloodstone was that he had mastered one of the consciousness attacking skills. The mind-controlling secret skill, one of the 3 great secret skills of the ancient god clan. A skill which was designed as an attack on the consciousness. Back when he was still learning the skill in the ancient god clan, he had tried to use it several times, but because of his low status as a divine realm expert at that time, he was unable to practice it at a higher level. As a result, even if he displayed the skill with all his power, it would have little effect on the 3 or 4 steps experts. As for those experts above 5 steps, as long as their consciousnesses were not damaged or they were not in a panic, they would be unaffected by the mind-controlling secret skill even if they did not anticipate the attack. As I grow stronger, the opponents I meet are also more powerful, and most of them are 5 and even 6 steps experts. In light of this, I can hardly use mind-controlling secret skill to battle them, but now, with the help of the divergent bloodstone, that's all changed. Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of joy. This stone would greatly enhance his consciousness attack. The mind-controlling secret skill would be much more powerful now that it will be supported by the divergent bloodstone. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang started binding the stone. He met no resistance during the process, and the stone quickly merged into his body. Mind-controlling secret skill. He attempted to display mind-controlling secret skill again. A magic power flowed through the divergent bloodstone and then swept over him. Because he did not use the skill on a human being, he could not see the specific effect, but he could tell it was 10 times more powerful than before. That was to say, now, this skill could not only affect the 3 and 4 steps experts but also the 6 steps experts. Chapter 827 Blood Hades Prefecture. Chapter 827 Blood Hades Prefecture. With the consciousness attack being an unusual method, it will definitely kill an opponent if I use this attack unexpectedly. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. As for the 3 most precious treasures in Xia Yan's interspatial ring, he had only had use for the divergent bloodstone at that time. Killing Xia Yan makes me the Xia clan's target, and will bring me many troubles. However, I have profited significantly from it. Jian Wushuang smiled when thinking of this. He then began to search Xia Yan's guards' interspatial rings. The 2 guards were experts in the 6 steps of the eternal realm and had always been with Xia Yan, so they were also wealthy, but Jian Wushuang found nothing in the rings that could be of his use. He did not set off again until he had regained all his power. He then left the island to the Tang of the East. As his destination was not far from the Cirrus Island, he finally got out of the vast sea below him and arrived there 10 days later. As the most ancient and once most powerful country, Tang of the East was immense. The 21 large prefectures in the Tang dynasty that Jian Wushuang had once visited were established by Emperor Shao, based in fact on the Tang of the East. The difference being that Tang of the East had 36 prefectures in its territory. Each of 36 prefectures was 10 times larger than the firmament territory. Jian Wushuang first arrived in the Blood Hades prefecture. Though it was only a prefecture, the Blood Hades prefecture was autonomous as a country. Countless clans here, both big and small, were embroiled in continuous conflict. At the heart of the prefecture was the Blood Hades city. It was a big city full of towering and splendid palaces and pavilions. Some of them were even floating magnificently in the air all the time. The streets there bustled with activity. Though this country was not as prosperous as it once was, it was still flourishing. The Tang dynasty Emperor Shao established in the ancient world as a country of death, but this Tang of the East is on the opposite. Jian Wushuang was lost in thought while walking on the streets in the Blood Hades city. A moment later he stepped into a shop. He then stepped into a secret chamber in the shop, sat down, and started reading information on this country. The information was no more detailed than what he had already known, except that there was a simple introduction on all the camps and forces of the country on it. Officially, the imperial house under Empress Lung's control was still in charge of this country, but beneath the surface, a tension was building nationwide. The 6 big clans headed by the Xia clan, whose leaders had secretly done many things behind the emperor's back, would not completely break their relationships with him. There seemed to be something they feared. The same was true of the mansion masters of the 36 prefectures. They respected the imperial house publicly, but behind closed doors, they all nurtured their own selfish intentions. Besides this, fierce battles had broken out between the Tang of the East and its 3 neighboring countries, the West Paradise, South Mountain Kingdom, and North Sea Kingdom. This country is suffering domestic troubles and foreign invasions. Who would have thought that a country of such prosperity could fall to this point? Jian Wushuang sighed while reading this. However, he did not care about the fate of this country. What really concerned him was Lung Rushuang. Lin Wan has said that the icy heart poison has gone deeper into Lung Rushuang's body, and that if she can't get treated soon, she may meet a bad end. Therefore, I must find her as soon as possible and stop her from getting worse. He pondered. He already had a plan. Remove the poison in her body with his heavenly creation skill. At the same time, he was afraid that he would be unable to see her as he was only a divine realm expert, and she was a distinguished person who had constantly stayed in her palace. His only chance came to him very soon. Royal Guard. He stared at the 3 words with hope in his eyes. Royal Guard was an army of elites who were responsible for public security inside and outside of the imperial palace. Its functions were similar to that of the Circe's army on Circe's Island. However, it was larger size than Circe's army. After all, Circe's army was only responsible for the safety of a small island, while the Royal Guard were responsible for an entire city. There were 10,000 people in the former, but the Royal Guard was 20 times larger than that. The weakest ones among both groups were Superior Divine Realm Expert. However, those in Royal Guard were selected from the most outstanding people in the 36 prefectures in the Tang of the East. Most of them were the best of the best and could even battle the strongest Divine Realm experts. Every 100 years, some new members from across the nation would be selected to join the Royal Guard. When Jian Wushuang arrived in the country, it was just 3 months before the selection date. When that day came, the people in the Blood Hades city who wanted to join the Royal Guard would gather outside the city. After the first round of selecting, the weaker ones would be eliminated, and the stronger ones would be taken into the royal palace and progressed to a further test. Those who made it to the end of the selection could join the Royal Guard. Since I've just arrived on this land and have not built up any relations, I can't make any accomplishment with my current power now. The Royal Guard defends the Imperial Palace and is full of experts. It might be a good shelter for me. After I join it, I can improve my power while finding a way to see Lung Rushuang again. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists and was excited about his decision. On the same day, he signed up for the Royal Guard at the registry. Considering that he had killed Xia Yan and the Xia clan was looking for him everywhere, he used a new name when he signed up for registration. That new name was Blood Mountain. He named himself after the Blood Mountain sword. After that, he found a residence in the city and waited for the selection date to come. Chapter 828 Preliminary. Chapter 828 Preliminary. 3 months later, outside the Blood Hades city. It was the day on which the Royal Guard would recruit new members. Numerous superior divine realm experts rushed there from all corners of the Blood Hades prefecture. As the prefecture was a vast land full of experts and the Royal Guard was the most elite troop with a nice remuneration in the country, a great number of experts were gathered outside the Blood Hades city. As a result, when Jian Wushuang arrived there, he could see a sea of faces. The amount of people there was estimated to be over 100,000. There are so many people. Though he had expected there to be a crowd, he was still amazed by the scene. 100,000 superior divine realm experts. More than all such experts in the firmament territory adding together, this was the turnout of candidates for a trial in the Blood Hades prefecture. As one of them, Jian Wushuang waited silently at the edge of the crowd. In the void above the crowd were many sergeants in scarlet armors. Their aura was chilling. They were the soldiers of the Blood Hades prefecture. A well-built tall man and a blue-haired lady acted as their leaders. These two were the commanders of the prefecture. "This is a huge crowd," said the tall man to the blue-haired lady while looking downwards. "Yes, just as the previous years. Though people know there is a strict standard to join the Royal Guard, they still come here in droves. The participants standing before us are over 100,000, but no more than 50 of them will make it to the end," the lady responded. "You're reading on novelful, thanks." "I agree," the tall man nodded and added, "though the ordinary soldiers in the Royal Guard are superior Divine Realm experts, they are the elite among them, as powerful as the top Divine Realm experts. The soldiers of our prefecture are elites too, evenly matched to the Circus army of the Circus Island, but they are inferior to the Royal Guard." "You're right. But now it's time to start the selection." The blue-haired lady spoke. The man observed the sky and nodded. He looked toward the crowd as he shouted, "Attention everybody." His dignified voice immediately silenced the crowd. All participants all stood to attention as they looked at the man in awe. "Listen up. Many of you will not be able to join the Royal Guard, the best troop in the country. Even the most ordinary soldier in the Royal Guard is chosen through a strenuous selection process, means that only 1 in every 1,000 will make it. Next, you'll have to go through the preliminary round held by our Blood Hades prefecture. Get ready." The man's booming voice reverberated throughout the area. On hearing his voice, the superior Divine Realm experts among the crowd all took a deep breath to reach their peak. In a moment they prepared themselves for anything. "Let's begin." A sharp light escaped the man's eyes as he shouted. Just then, an overwhelming force swept away from him. It pressed the experts standing below him like a huge mountain on their shoulders. All the experts looked as though they were struck by lightning. Puff, puff, puff. More than half of them could not resist coughing up a mouthful of blood and fell to their knees with a pale face under the pressure of the force. As for those who remained standing, their face turned red with pain, and they were struggling to keep their balance. "Is this an aura suppression?" Among the crowd, Jian Wushuang was also under the man's pressing aura. As soon as he felt the aura, he knew that the tall man was a top 6 steps expert. An expert of such strength, if he was to unleash the full power of his aura, he could explode a normal superior Divine Realm expert in an instant. Oh! Though the tall man was trying to suppress 100,000 people at the same time, his aura was still unbearable to many experts. Just in a short time, more than half of the experts had collapsed under the man's aura. Though the aura was powerful, Jian Wushuang was strong enough to bear it. He might be only a Divine Realm expert, but he was able to battle a 6 steps of the Eternal Realm expert. Even if all the power of the tall man's aura was on him, he would not be afraid. All the superior Divine Realm experts struggled to hold on under the man's aura. As time went by, the aura grew stronger, bringing the experts to their breaking points. One after another, many experts tumbled to the ground, some fell to their knees, and within a short time, less than 800 people remained standing. Just then, the blue-haired lady finally spoke up. "That's enough." On hearing this, the tall man raised his eyebrows and restrained his aura. The struggling experts immediately felt the suppressing force on them disperse, and they all let out a sigh of relief, breathing heavily. Right then, a scarlet-armored soldier walked to the tall man and reported to him, "Commander, among all the participants, 680 of them made it to the end standing under your aura." "That's really a small number, isn't it?" The tall man frowned. "Not bad actually. In the previous years, less than 600 of the participants made it to the end," the blue-haired lady replied with a smile. "All right," the tall man turned to the soldier and ordered, "Have those 680 people stay and tell everyone else to go back where they come from. They will not be able to join the Royal Guard as they couldn't even pass the preliminary." "Yes, sir." The soldier left to give the order. As the order reached the participants, those who were informed that they did not pass the preliminary were unwilling to accept the results. However, no matter how reluctant they were, They had to wait another 100 years for the next selection of the Royal Guard. With most of the participants leaving, the place became more spacious and relaxed. Chapter 829 The Second Round of the Selection. Chapter 829. The Second Round of the Selection. In the open space stood the 680 experts who had passed the preliminary test. Jian Wushuang was among them. The tall man stood above the void, looking down at them saying, "It's impressive that you survived under my aura, however, don't get too excited. You have simply passed the first round and the following tests will be far more difficult. Next, I'll take you to one of the Royal Guard's campsites, and you'll have to battle the participants from other prefectures who have passed the preliminaries there. The winners of these battles will be able to join the Royal Guard." After saying this, the man turned to the blue-haired lady and asked, "Is the wormhole ready?" "Yes." The lady nodded. "It has cost us so many divine gems to set up this wormhole in order to transport these people." The tall man sighed. "We have no other choice. It would take us several years to get there on foot with those participants following. That's assuming that we don't encounter any unexpected trouble on the way," said the lady with a smile. "Right. Let's open the wormhole. I'll personally take those people to the campsite." The tall man ended the talking. Soon he led those participants to a huge wormhole, which could transport 100 people at a time. The 680 participants and some experts of the Blood Hades prefecture were transported to the campsite in 7 separate batches. The campsite lay among endless ancient mountains. When they arrived, many people from other prefectures were already waiting there. The preliminary that was held in the Blood Hades prefecture was aimed at eliminating the weaker participants. In the following rounds, all superior divine realm experts from the 36 prefectures who had passed the preliminary would have to take the following tests together. Those who had passed the preliminary of the Blood Hades prefecture numbered around 680. The number from each prefecture was roughly the same. In total, there would be nearly 30,000 participants included in the following rounds. Moreover, all those candidates were obviously powerful, as they had passed the preliminary. Standing in the crowd with other participants from the Blood Hades prefecture, Jian Wushuang could not help pondering. The preliminary was an aura suppression and ended so quick. What will the second round of elimination be? As he was lost in thought, a group of people flooded toward them in a gold light from the void not far away. They moved fast in a large group with an overwhelming aura. When they got closer, Jian Wushuang could see that they were, in fact, a group of soldiers in gold armor. Each guard's armor was engraved with the golden dragon mark. They are the Royal Guards. They're the Royal Guards. How powerful their auras are. Those soldiers are in the superior divine realm just like us, but I can tell that every one of them is much stronger than we are. Staring at the gold-armored soldiers, the participants were excited and their eyes sparkled. Royal Guard, the strongest and most elite troop in the Tang of the East. To be a member of this troop is what had driven all those participants to the campsite. Are they the Royal Guards? Jian Wushuang looked at the golden-armored soldiers. He could feel an overbearing aura from them. Among those soldiers, he found that most of them were in the divine realm while some of them were in the eternal realm. He even managed to sense some powerful auras, which he knew he had to take seriously. Just as I have heard, the Royal Guard really does have some experts. Jian Wushuang gasped in admiration. With his current power, he could battle a 6 steps of the Eternal Realm expert. In view of this, he could be among the stronger ones in the Royal Guard. Though not among the elite of them. About 1,000 people of the Royal Guard were present in the campsite, and their leader was a beautiful young lady, who was also dressed in gold armor. However, she had a killing intent between her eyebrows. Her eyes were chilling, her aura overbearing. The lady greeted the commanders of each of the 36 prefectures before casting a cold eye over the 30,000 participants. In an icy voice she spoke up, "Listen up, only 1,000 of you will be able to join in our troop. That's to say, the rest of you will be eliminated." Her words electrified the participants. Soon the place was in an uproar. These participants had all passed the preliminary held by their prefectures, which had fully demonstrated their power. However, only 1,000 of them will eventually be able to join the royal guard. Too harsh. The conditions of joining the guard were indeed very harsh. The following tests are very simple. The lady's deep voice echoed once more. We'll test your power. Wherever in the Tang of the East or the Eternal World, power speaks louder than anything. It's the same in our royal guard. So, the following tests are aimed at finding the most powerful 1,000 among you. By having you battle each other. You are now standing in a special campsite of our royal guard, and a restriction has been created for it. As the lady's voice fell, a faint gold halo suddenly rose up, surrounded the campsite and everyone in it. This restriction is created by an excellent formation maker. Inside it, you can fight free of the fear that you'll be killed, because this restriction will protect your life by transporting you out of it before you get killed. However, being transported out also means that you're eliminated. And what you are required to do is to battle each other within the restriction. Just don't use the attacker or life-saving skill that uses the power of others. You can use any other means. Until only 1,000 of you remain in the restriction. Do you understand? The lady looked around after saying those words. Chapter 830 A Wild Battle. Chapter 830. A Wild Battle. The crowd began to clamor once they heard the lady's words. Battle all by ourselves? I never thought that the second round would be a wild battle. Jian Wushuang eyes narrowed. 30,000 people must fight with any means within the restriction until 1,000 of them remain. The battle had to be intense. However, secure in the knowledge that they would not really be killed, the participants all felt better. Get ready. The lady scanned the crowd and lifted her hand before shouting. Let the battle commence. Bomb! 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 The moment the words escaped the lady's lips, a fierce battle broke out among the crowd. With so many people fighting in such a small space, it promised to be a brutal battle. Kill! Kill! Go to hell! Get out of my way! Each of the participants from the 36 prefectures attacked those closest to them. At that point, regardless of who you were or where you were from, everyone around you was your enemy. Boom! Boom! Clang! Clang! A series of heavy crashes resounded throughout the campsite. The fights had barely started when people began to get thrown out the restriction one after another. Those people were killed by others and transported by the restriction. Soon, over 5,000 people had been eliminated, and the number was still rising. Before long, about 1/3 of the participants were transported out by the restriction. Outside the restriction, the sergeants of the Royal Guard and the commanders of the prefectures all watched the fight with great interest. They thought that, though there was a large number of participants, as long as they fought wildly, the battle would end soon. The participants are all excellent, and I've spotted over 100 top Divine Realm experts among them, one commander commented with a smile. Yeah, I agree. Someone nodded with approval. Normally, there would be only 1 or 2 top Divine Realm experts of a generation in a territory. However, the Tang of the East was so immense that even if just a small amount of such experts in each of its prefectures participated in the selection, the total number would be quite large. Therefore, over 100 Divine Realm experts stood out among the fighters in the restriction. Nevertheless, even those top experts had to be very careful in such a wild battle. After all, some top experts had been thrown out the battlefield as they had been besieged by many or encountered someone stronger than themselves. Inside the restriction, the battle carried on violently. Wang! A huge axe swung ferociously across the void. It cut the void open like splitting a mountain. A terrifying force came sweeping from it. The dozen superior Divine Realm experts in front of the axe were sent out of the restriction the moment the axe slashed through them, even though they were superior Divine Realm experts powerful enough to make it this far. Oh! The spectators' eyes were lit up by the strike. This strike is really powerful. The power behind it must be of step 4 of the Eternal Realm. Which prefecture does this guy come from? Haha, he is Azura. From our Inconstancy prefecture. Azura. Azura should be his alias. It's impressive indeed for him to gain such power as a Divine Realm expert. Few in the Eternal World can achieve this. The commanders all praised the man. Many of the Royal Guard sergeants also looked toward Azura in amazement. For the Royal Guard, a top Divine Realm expert was nothing special, as any one of them could battle such an expert. In fact, the top Divine Realm experts could be divided into 3 separate groups: ordinary experts, exceptional genius, and extremely exceptional genius. Among them, the ordinary top experts were in the 1-step Eternal Realm, while the exceptional geniuses were in the 2 steps or 3 steps Eternal Realm. The extremely exceptional geniuses, such as Azura, were in step 4 of the Eternal Realm or even above. Naturally, experts such as this drew most of the attention. Azura may be the most powerful one among all the participants. One-on-one, none of them could be his match or take so much as a single move from him. One commander uttered his opinion. "You're right." Apart from him, the next most powerful participant is barely in the step 3 and absolutely could not withstand his strike. The others all nodded their approval. Look, Azura is invincible in the restriction now. Obviously, Azura had become the topic of the commanders chatting. In a red robe and with a straight face, he launched a series of attacks with his double-edged giant axe, and where he passed, destruction reigned. No one could stand in his way, nor could anyone take a blow from him. At that time he looked just like the real Azura. Unbeatable. Azura is coming at us. Run. Hurry. Stay away from him. Having learned of Azura's power, all the participants ran from him when they spotted him approaching. No one dared to challenge him. A group of trash. Azura sneered and looked around. A faint killing intent radiated from him. Suddenly, he sped up and moved toward a black figure. It seemed the figure did not expect this and struggled to dodge him. Humph! Azura snorted and swung his axe at the black figure casually. Though the strike seemed normal, it had the power of step 4 of the Eternal Realm. Even the best Divine Realm experts on that battlefield could not take the blow without being harmed, let alone the mediocre black figure who Azura had attacked. Everybody thought that the figure would be eliminated by Azura's strike like many before him. However, when the axe was about to hit the figure, a bright sword light suddenly flashed in the air. It came to meet the axe like lightning. Chapter 831 To be one of the Royal Guard. Chapter 831 To be one of the Royal Guard. Clang! The sound of metal on metal was heard. The straight-faced Azura changed his expression when the 2 weapons collided together. He quivered and fell 1 step backward. As for the black figure, he was not dead as others had expected. He wasn't even injured. He had merely fallen several steps backward as well. After regaining his balance, he immediately rushed away to battle other experts. This man actually managed to take my blow. Azura paused and looked toward the black figure with a frown. The onlookers outside the battlefield were all shocked. Who is that guy? He managed to take Azura's blow and wasn't even injured. He just fell a few steps backward? Go find out who he is, someone ordered. The commanders from the 36 prefectures immediately started investigating. A moment later, an expert came up to the commander of the Blood Hades prefecture and reported to him, "Commander, the man is Blood Mountain, a Divine Realm expert in our prefecture." Really? He is from our prefecture? The commander was startled at first but then showed a big smile. "Ha ha! It's Blood Mountain from the Blood Hades prefecture. Good boy." Blood Mountain from the Blood Hades prefecture. This Blood Mountain is indeed powerful. So far, he is the only one who has managed to take a strike from Azura without being killed. Given that, he is second only to Azura. Well, he really has something. He has hidden his power to make himself look normal all this time, until he encountered Azura, without whom we would not have learned of the boy's power. We should have noticed him earlier. In this crazy battle, except for the extremely powerful experts like Azura, the rest have been busy fighting with others, always frustrated like drowned mice. However, this boy keeps his own pace and looks at ease all the time. Yeah, I can see it now that you've pointed it out. The commanders chatted and laughed. The black figure who had just taken Azura's strike was none other than Jian Wushuang. He had gone now to battle other experts, but he could not help glancing back at Azura. This man is powerful. Even I can't defeat him unless I transform into an ancient god. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Now that we've fought, the onlookers must have figured out that I've been restraining my power. Jian Wushuang shook his head and stopped pondering over it. He wanted to avoid attracting too many eyes. He did not want to be spotted by the Xia clan. But he was not too worried. Aside from the selection of the royal guard, he had not participated in any other public activities, plus he had used an alias. The Xia clan would not find him yet. The wild battle had been going on for almost an hour, and the experts on the battlefield were becoming fewer and fewer. When there were 1,000 experts left in the restriction, the beautiful lady's voice echoed. Everybody stop fighting now. The voice resounded like thunder. The experts stopped fighting when they heard the voice. The restriction covering the place slowly disappeared, and the remaining 1,000 experts walked out of the battlefield. Among them, a few appeared to be okay, but most looked embarrassed and were panting heavily, as if they almost could not have made it to the end. Jian Wushuang was among the former. This man. Azura could not help looking toward Jian Wushuang with his arms crossed over his chest, furrowing his eyebrows slightly. He was impressed by him, the only person who had managed to take his blow on the battlefield. In view of this, he thought Jian Wushuang was extraordinarily powerful, almost at the same level as him. The 1,000 people who have made it to the end can join the royal guard. As for the rest, you can return home now. The lady's voice echoed again. The experts who had failed felt bitter about their results, but there was nothing they could do about it. Some of them could have passed the round, but due to bad luck, they had encountered more powerful opponents or been besieged and lost the battle. The royal guard showed them no mercy. To join the royal guard, one had to be powerful first, then smart. Luck also counted. Those who were powerful enough to join the royal guard but failed only had themselves to blame. Commanders, please give me the details on the experts from your prefectures who passed the test and take the failed men back. The lady looked at the commanders as she spoke. The commanders exchanged looks before doing what they were told. After they left, the campsite became cold and quiet. The lady waved her hand and brought out several pieces of golden armor. Each piece had the golden dragon mark on it. The armor looked exactly the same as what the soldiers of the royal guard wore. In fact, there were two types of gold armor, inner armor and outer armor. From this moment on, you are members of the royal guard, the lady said in an icy voice. This is your armor. Whether you're carrying on a mission outside or inside the camp, you must wear it at all times. This is a regulation. The armor is specially made and can protect you to some extent, the lady continued. You can change its size if you want. Now, each of you can come here to receive your armor. The 1,000 experts who had passed went over to receive their armor. Jian Wushuang was no exception. When he received his armor, he found it was, in fact, a treasure and that he had to bind it before putting on it. Chapter 832 Blood Eagle Guard. Chapter 832 Blood Eagle Guard. This armor is so solid and resilient, yet so light. Putting on the gold armor, Jian Wushuang was surprised at how light it was. Now follow me to our camp. The beautiful lady led the 1,000 new recruits to the camp of the royal guard. The camp was located outside the imperial palace of the Tang of the East. It covered a large area and was heavily guarded. When Jian Wushuang and the others arrived, the first thing they saw was a huge barracks. Inside, they could see several soldiers wearing the same gold armor. Just as they were about to enter the barracks, phew, phew, phew. 3 red lights ignored the restrictions and flew directly into the barracks from above. The soldiers in the barracks all looked at the lights with reverence. It's the Blood Eagle Guards. A new recruit standing next to Jian Wushuang cried out excitedly. Blood Eagle Guards. Jian Wushuang looked at the recruit. Brother, what's a Blood Eagle Guard? Hearing their conversation, several nearby recruits looked toward them with interest. Most of the new recruits only knew that the Royal Guard was the most elite army in the Tang of the East. They had never heard of the Blood Eagle Guard. Nothing about the Blood Eagle Guard had been mentioned in any of the information Jian Wushuang had read about the Tang of the East. Blood Eagle Guard belongs to Royal Guard and is called as its sharpest claw, the recruit beside Jian Wushuang explained to them, and his eyes betrayed his fever. All of you must know that the Royal Guard is the strongest and most elite army in our country, but in fact there are two types of soldiers in the troop. The first is called the Dragon Guard, responsible for the public security inside and outside the Imperial Palace. 99% of soldiers in the Royal Guard belong to this group, and us new members will join them as well. The second type is called the Blood Eagle Guard, and they act as a special organization in our troop. A special organization? Jian Wushuang and the others were puzzled. The recruit explained further, if members of the Dragon Guard are all elites, the members of the Blood Eagle Guard are the elites of the elites. They are in charge of the dangerous and secret missions for the Imperial House. For example, assassinating families in the Tang of the East, secretly wiping out strong experts, and also protecting some of the most powerful people in our country, those secretly who hold special positions. I see. Jian Wushuang and the others could not help gasping in admiration. The Dragon Guard was only responsible for public security, therefore, their lives would be easier and more comfortable. The Blood Eagle Guard had to hide in the dark to carry out a variety of special and dangerous tasks. In short, the Dragon Guard was public and the Blood Eagle Guard was secret. It was clear that the latter faced more danger. Because most of the tasks the Blood Eagle Guard has to accomplish are quite dangerous, only the really powerful are qualified to join. As far as I know, to be one of them, one has to be above step 4 of the Eternal Realm, said the recruit. What? Jian Wushuang was amazed. To become a member of the Blood Eagle Guard, one has to be above step 4 of the Eternal Realm. Do you know how many people there are in the Blood Eagle Guard? Jian Wushuang asked out of curiosity. He wanted to know how many people were in the Blood Eagle Guard as its standard was so high. I don't know the exact number, but the estimated number should be more than 1,000, the recruit answered. Even with such a high bar, there are still more than 1,000 people in the Blood Eagle Guard? Jian Wushuang secretly admired the Tang of the East. It was indeed a powerful country. I also heard that the remuneration the Blood Eagle Guard offers to its members is far above that of the Dragon Guard, the recruit continued. Many experts from the Dragon Guard want to join the Blood Eagle Guard, but they are unqualified. The remuneration the Dragon Guard offers is better? Jian Wushuang remained indifferent. He was not interested in money. What he cared about was the dangerous missions the Blood Eagle Guard carried out. In comparison to the Blood Eagle Guard, the Dragon Guard was only responsible for the public security of the Imperial Palace. Life would be too comfortable for Jian Wushuang. That was not what he wanted. Soon, led by the beautiful lady, Jian Wushuang and the other new recruits entered the barracks and were later assigned to numerous small teams. Jian Wushuang and 7 other people were assigned to a normal team of 10 members. To Jian Wushuang's surprise, he and the recruit who had introduced the Blood Eagle Guard to him were on the same team. Haha, brother. It seems that fate has brought us together again. What's your name? The recruit, a lean man, asked Jian Wushuang with a grin. Blood Mountain. What's your name? Jian Wushuang replied flatly. My name is Ouyang Su from the Ouyang clan, he replied with a smile. From the Ouyang clan? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. There were many ancient families in the Tang of the East. Since Ouyang Su was from one of them, it was not surprising that he knew so much about the Blood Eagle Guard. Let's go. Our team is in front of us, and our captain must have been waiting for us for a while, said Ouyang Su. Waiting for us, why? Jian Wushuang asked, puzzled. I've heard from my family elders that life in the Royal Guard seems to be comfortable, but in fact it doesn't forbid internal conflict, Ouyang Su replied. Power speaks loudest in the Royal Guard. Do you really think that the old members will be that welcoming? Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. A moment later, when Jian Wushuang and the 7 other new recruits arrived at their camp, just as Ouyang Su had said, their captain and 2 old members were waiting for them. Haha. After waiting for so long, you guys are finally here. Finally, I have someone to practice my skills with. I've had enough of practicing with the captain. The two older members looked at Jian Wushuang and the other new recruits with great interest. As for their captain, he was sitting at a table with a wine gourd in his hand, glancing at them occasionally. From the man's aura, they could tell that though he was only the captain of a small team, he was in the eternal realm and very powerful. Chapter 833 The Duel. Chapter 833 The Duel. This was the kind of army the Royal Guard was. Even the captain of a 10-soldier squad was an eternal realm expert. The captains of the 100-soldier squads had to be step 3 or 4 eternal realm experts. As for the captains of the 1,000-soldier squads, it was said that the weakest ones were the top step 5 eternal realm and even step 6 eternal realm experts. The Royal Guard was indeed full of experts. Even if Jian Wushuang showed all his power, he would barely be able to be captain of a 1,000-soldier squad. And in higher rankings there were many people in charge of tens of thousands of soldiers such as commanders. Hey guys, from this moment on we're one team. How about we introduce ourselves to each other first? A triangular-eyed old soldier said with a smile. Introduce ourselves? How? Asked Jian Wushuang. By using our power, of course. The man sneered and continued. It's been just the two of us and the captain for several years. Now you guys have finally joined us. How can we not communicate closely with you? Jian Wushuang and the other new recruits felt excited. Some of them looked full of expectation. As new recruits, they were looking forward to exchanging moves with the experienced older soldiers. Don't get too excited. It won't be just a casual battle. We need to make a wager first, the man continued. The duel starts. Ouyang Su raised his eyebrows. Wager? Duel? Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Come on, one by one, each of you has to have at least one fight with us, the man continued with a sneer. The new recruits looked at each other with a frown. One of them walked forward and asked the man, how much you wanna bet? Not much, just 200,000 divine gems, he answered casually. What? The new recruit was startled. 200,000 divine gems. Normally, a superior divine realm expert's total assets were only about 100,000 divine gems. The amount he wanted was too much. Well, it's only 200,000 divine gems, you can't afford it? The man asked, staring at the recruit. Of course I can, but, the recruit muttered. He hesitated. Well then what are you waiting for? Come on, take them out. Considering that you are a new recruit, you can choose any one of us as your opponent, including the captain, the triangular-eyed man said in a contemptuous manner. The new recruit changed his expression slightly. He had spotted the man's disdain and was enraged by it. He nodded heavily. Then I choose you. You want to fight against me? Very good. The man grinned. In no time the two came to blows. Both of them were divine realm experts. The new recruit had to be powerful to have been able to join the Royal Guard. However, after they had exchanged several moves, clang, 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 a series of fierce clashes sounded. It was a close battle at first, but after several minutes, the triangular-eyed man suddenly launched a powerful attack and defeated the new recruit. How could this be? The new recruit could not believe that he had lost. He had clearly felt that he was about to win, but then he lost. If I lost, I lost. The new recruit took out 200,000 divine gems, handed them to the man, and walked back to his companions bitterly. Haha, let's move on. Who's next? The man smiled wildly. Standing among the new recruits, Jian Wushuang secretly shook his head. He could tell that the old soldier had deliberately hidden his power. He had restrained his power at first to relax the new soldier's vigilance, and then suddenly launched a surprisingly powerful attack to defeat him. This man wants to cheat more new recruits to win their divine gems. These old soldiers were specially selected into the Royal Guard, and have spent a rather long time in the army. They are much more powerful than most superior divine realm experts, and can even battle a few top divine realm experts. Moreover, their magic weapons are better than others. Jian Wushuang gasped secretly in admiration. He could tell that the weapon the man used was an eternal weapon, which earned him a great advantage. The man had hidden his power in order to win more divine gems in the following battles. Next, the triangular-eyed man let out a laugh of joy when he defeated the second challenger and won another 150,000 divine gems. The duels continued. Each of the 8 new recruits had to fight with the old soldiers at least once, and they also had to offer a bet of no less than 100,000 divine gems. After a few rounds, the triangular-eyed man had won nearly 1,000,000 divine gems. Jian Wushuang and Ouyang Su were the only two who had not fought yet. Haha, who's next? Hurry! The old soldier urged the recruits. Ouyang Su walked up to him with a frown. Kid, how much are you going to bet? The man asked Ouyang Su. 1,000,000 divine gems, Ouyang Su answered directly. Oh, the triangular-eyed man was surprised. The other new recruits stared at Ouyang Su. The old soldier had won 6 rounds. By now all the new recruits knew that he had been deliberately hiding his power. Ouyang Su must have known this as well, but all the same, he offered 1,000,000 divine gems as a bet. He had to be confident about his power. Is this boy a top divine realm expert? The man's face grew serious. Every time the Royal Guard recruited new members, there were at least a few top divine realm experts among the recruits. This time, among the 1,000 new recruits, about 100 of them were top divine realm experts. It was possible that some of them were the new members of his team. Thinking of this, his confidence was swayed. He turned to the man beside him with a grin. 1,000,000 divine gems is too much for me, I can't afford it. Xiazi, you're much richer than me and can probably afford it. I'll leave this boy to you. Chapter 834 8,000,000 Divine Gems. Chapter 834 8,000,000 Divine Gems. The other man, Xiazi, had not battled any of the new recruits yet. Upon hearing the triangular-eyed man's words, he raised his head and walked over. Jian Wushuang suddenly got a feeling that he was much stronger than his companion. He might even be a top divine realm expert. Ouyang Su frowned at the man. He shared Jian Wushuang's feeling, but he was still confident in his own power and not afraid. I accept your bet. Let's fight. Xiazi said to Ouyang Su in an icy voice. Ouyang Su snorted. He twisted his hands and 2 giant hammers appeared. The hammers were gleaming a bronze light with a powerful aura. 2 high-level eternal weapons? Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. Ouyang Su is indeed from a large wealthy family with a rich background. Ouyang Su made his move. He struck out fiercely with the 2 giant hammers as he moved forward. One strike after another, the hammers overwhelmed their target like a mountain. Ouyang Su attacked without leaving a chance for his opponent to even take a breath. Xiazi used a sharp cyan saber. He was dodging around swiftly like a ghost. None of Ouyang Su's strikes managed to hit him. Xiazi suddenly struck out. A dazzling blade light flashed in the air. Ouyang Su was not expecting this and got hit. He was unable to launch an attack. How could this be? Ouyang Su could not believe that he had been defeated. He had completely suppressed Xiazi first. How could he be defeated in a single sudden strike? Jian Wushuang, who had been watching from the side, shook his head. Ouyang Su is powerful and can match a top divine realm expert. Xiazi is a top divine realm expert himself. However, Xiazi is more experienced at fighting. Jian Wushuang had an eye like a hawk. He could see everything. Having lost the battle, Ouyang Su paid the wager and returned reluctantly to his companions. After Ouyang Su had been defeated, the triangular-eyed man came forward again and looked at Jian Wushuang. Haha, boy, you are last. Stand up. Ouyang Su and the other 6 recruits could not help looking at Jian Wushuang. Under their watchful eyes, Jian Wushuang remained indifferent. He slowly stepped out and walked forward. He glanced at the triangular-eyed man and shook his head. I'm not interested in fighting with you. Oh. The man smirked unbothered and turned to Xiazi. Xiazi, he wants to battle you. Xiazi frowned and was about to come over again. Sorry, I am not interested in him either. Jian Wushuang shook his head again. Xie Zi stopped in his tracks. The triangular-eyed man looked at Jian Wushuang in amazement. Who was this boy interested in? Is it me that you want to battle? A cold voice suddenly echoed. It came from the elegant man who had been drinking alone at the table. Captain. The triangular-eyed man and Xie Zi looked at him. I've heard that both the Divine Realm experts and the Eternal Realm experts in the Royal Guard are elites. I've learned the power of the Divine Realm experts, so I really want to know how powerful the Eternal Realm experts can be, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. You want to challenge me? The captain glanced at Jian Wushuang and leaped across the table. He came up to him and said in a low voice, to fight with me, you must wager 2 million divine gems. 2 million. Everyone was amazed. 2 million. Jian Wushuang shook his head with a smile and continued, 2 million divine gems is not enough. Not enough. The captain appeared surprised. 8 million divine gems at least. Plus, all the divine gems the other recruits have lost to you 3, Jian Wushuang said. 8 million. A few of the recruits were startled by the number. For a Divine Realm expert, 8 million divine gems was simply an astronomical number. Oh. Even for many Eternal Realm experts it was too much. This guy, his face fell. Although he was only the captain of a small team, he had had several opportunities to earn divine gems, but still, he had about 10 million divine gems in total. The amount Jian Wushuang wanted was too much for him. Kid, can you afford 8 million divine gems? He stared coldly at Jian Wushuang. There are 10 million divine gems in this interspatial ring. You can check it yourself. Jian Wushuang took out an interspatial ring. The interspatial ring had not been bound, so others could check it using their consciousness. After a simple check, everyone present indeed found 10 million divine gems inside. He actually has it. The elegant man's expression turned strange. The man did not know that although Jian Wushuang was only a Divine Realm expert, he had had an unusual experience. After Jian Wushuang killed Xia Yan and got his ring, he was much richer than even a Dao master. 10 million divine gems was not a problem for him. He could afford 100 million divine gems, let alone 10 million. Kid, what is your name? The elegant man suddenly asked him. Blood Mountain. Jian Wushuang answered. Blood Mountain. The captain was wrapped in thought. Among the 1,000 recruits, there is only one person, Azura, in Step 4 of the Eternal Realm. As for the rest of them, the strongest one should be at the same level as me. And I've never heard of a man named Blood Mountain. This boy dares to offer 8 million divine gems as a bet to fight with me. He must be confident about his power. Seeing his hesitation, Jian Wushuang showed a meaningful smile. What? You're afraid that you'll lose to me, Captain? Hearing this, the triangular-eyed man and Xie Zi shut their mouths tight, not daring to say a word. The man's face darkened, but in the next moment, he had made up his mind. Aside from Azura, I don't believe there is another Step 4 of the Eternal Realm expert in the new recruit. I'll take the bet. Chapter 835 I Lost. Chapter 835 I Lost. Upon hearing the captain's answer, Jian Wushuang showed a meaningful smile. Blood Mountain. Ouyang Su, standing next to Jian Wushuang, and the other new recruits all looked at him. Don't worry. Jian Wushuang smiled at them and went forward. On the open ground, Jian Wushuang and the captain stood several meters apart, facing each other. Jian Wushuang held the emperor's sword in his hands. The captain had a long gold spear in his hand. He was radiating a powerful aura. Make your move. Jian Wushuang looked at ease. Humph. You're being too arrogant. He snorted before stomping hard on the ground. Boom. Immediately there was a crack where he had stomped. He approached Jian Wushuang and thrust at him with his spear. The spear spiraled under the strong force. The wager was too high. He dared not to take Jian Wushuang slightly. When he shot, he used all his strength. The second level of the spear heart? He should have displayed a secret technique to improve his strike to the 3rd level. Jian Wushuang smiled when he saw the man strike. As a captain of a 10-soldier squad, it was admirable that he had gained the power of Step 3 of the Eternal Realm. Among the Divine Realm experts, few could gain the power of Step 3. Talented as Azura was, he had only gained the power of Step 4. However, for Jian Wushuang, such a power was nothing to fear. The long gold spear struck out like a snake coming at its prey, with a strong strangling power behind it. It was a meter away from Jian Wushuang. Why didn't he make his move? The captain stared at Jian Wushuang, surprised that he seemed to have no intention of fighting back. He even thought Jian Wushuang was too scared to move or that he had no time to react. He was about to draw his spear back. Suddenly Jian Wushuang's sword struck out. It seemed an ordinary strike, simple and neat, slashing toward the man. The sword collided with the spear. There was a crashing sound and sparks in the air. Jian Wushuang twisted both his hands, sending his sword forward in a strange way. Clang! Another crashing sound, and the captain's spear was knocked out of his hand. How is this possible? The captain's eyes were full of horror. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Casually, he tapped him with his sword. The captain was immediately thrown dozens of meters backwards before regaining his balance. He had a rather complicated look on his face when he rose to his feet. Everyone stared at Jian Wushuang in horror. The captain had lost. Lost in less than a minute. You lost. Jian Wushuang smiled at the captain. You lost. Give me 8 million divine gems and return the gems the 3 of you won from the new recruits. The captain trembled, biting his teeth. He took out an interspatial ring and threw it at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang caught the ring and nodded after a simple check. He turned to the triangular-eyed man. Where are the gems you two won? Both the triangular-eyed man and Xiezi had an unwilling look, but, thinking of Jian Wushuang's formidable power, they surrendered. They gave all the divine gems they had won from the new recruits to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang returned them to Ouyang Su and the other recruits. Blood Mountain, thank you. Thank you. The recruits thanked Jian Wushuang from the bottom of their hearts. After all, those divine gems had been half of everything they possessed. They would have been heartbroken if they really lost them. Luckily, Jian Wushuang had won the divine gems back for them. Jian Wushuang showed a casual smile at their gratitude. The next moment, he suddenly looked toward the void beside them. Sir, you have been watching us for a while, it's time to show yourself. Jian Wushuang's voice echoed away. Ouyang Su and the others immediately looked in the same direction following Jian Wushuang's voice. A figure immediately rushed out the void and landed in front of them. It's him. Seeing the newcomer, Ouyang Su and the other recruits were surprised. Anyone who had participated in the selection of the Royal Guard would not forget this face. Azura, the most impressive expert in the selection. Is that Azura? The captain and 2 old soldiers also looked at the newcomer. Dressed in a red robe with a huge axe on his back, Azura stared at Jian Wushuang with a ferocious aura. It seems that I'm right, Azura spoke up. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang looked at him in confusion. The last time we met was in the selection battle. You were the only one who managed to take my blow. Ever since, I knew that you're just as powerful as me. And I just watched how you battled your captain and I'm even more certain, Azura explained. So what? Jian Wushuang smiled. I am a born warrior. My favorite thing is to challenge strong experts, especially geniuses who are at the same level as me. Azura's voice was indifferent. My biggest wish has been to defeat Xia Yan, the #1 Divine Realm expert in the Eternal World. But several days ago I heard that he was killed outside the Circus Island. On hearing this, Jian Wushuang could not help but touch his nose. He had been the one to kill Xia Yan. Azura, you want to fight with me? Jian Wushuang then asked. Yes, but I wonder if you are willing to accept my challenge? Azura answered. Well, as you wish, let's fight. Jian Wushuang remained impassive. It was normal for warlike people to challenge the top talents or strong people at the same level as themselves. Jian Wushuang was the same. Moreover, Azura was really powerful. Jian Wushuang was not sure he could defeat him unless he transformed into an ancient god and used his Blood Mountain sword. Despite this, he decided not to do so in the following battle. I want to know how strong I can be without transforming into an ancient god, Jian Wushuang murmured in secret. As Jian Wushuang accepted Azura's challenge, Azura's eyes became sharp and an overwhelming battle intent shot up high from inside him. Jian Wushuang was also filled with battle intent. Chapter 836 Azura. Chapter 836 Azura. Both Jian Wushuang's and Azura's battle intent reached a peak. A sliver of light flashed within their eyes almost at the same time. Swish! Swish! They suddenly disappeared from where they were standing. Where have they gone? Ouyang Su and the others were watching them attentively. The next moment, clang! A loud noise echoed in the center of the battlefield. A dazzling sword light and a towering axe collided together. The power of his sword heart reached a peak in his sea of consciousness. Jian Wushuang had given full play to the Star River secret skill and increased his offensive power 33 times. However, he did not gain the upper hand. He merely blocked Azura's strike. With a hint of ardor in his eyes, Azura glanced at Jian Wushuang and snorted coldly. Then he struck again. Swoosh! 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 Every time he moved, there were axe shadows. They looked as if they could break mountains and crush experts in Step 3 of the Eternal Realm. In just a short period of time, he had launched at least a dozen strikes. He was suppressing his opponent with pure power. You want to play tough? I'm not afraid of you. Jian Wushuang was not afraid at all. Azura's axe heart had reached level 4, a level higher than Jian Wushuang's sword heart. However, by displaying the Star River secret skill, Jian Wushuang had increased his offensive power 33 times. Relying on his secret skill, Azura could only increase his by 10. That was Jian Wushuang's advantage. Moreover, because of the heavenly creation skill, he was more powerful than ordinary experts. A battle of strength. He was not afraid. Jian Wushuang met the axe shadows with his long sword. It was a fierce battle of pure power. Clang! 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 There were dozens of loud noises in succession, meaning that the two had exchanged dozens of moves in a short time. And with every sound, a blast wave swept toward the surroundings. I'm right. Your power is not weaker than mine. Since that's the case, take my 3 strongest moves. Azura roared. His muscles bulged and his right arm grew a size bigger. He was holding his axe. Your 3 strongest moves? Jian Wushuang looked serious. He knew that Azura was going to display his best moves. The first move, Sky Splitter. Azura looked cold. He held up his axe with his right hand. Terrifying power was gathering in it. The next moment, the giant axe struck out. Axe shadows smashed toward Jian Wushuang. As soon as the axe shadow appeared, it seemed to have split the sky into 2 parts. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He struck out his Emperor sword. He displayed the first move of Boundless Heaven sword art, the Annihilation sword move. Bang! With a loud bang, they both fell backward at the same time. Let's continue. Azura's eyes sparkled as he raised the giant axe again. Second move, Earth Splitter. Another axe shadow struck out, cracking the ground. Obviously, it was more powerful than the previous one. Jian Wushuang instantly performed the second move of the Boundless Heaven sword art, the Demon Slaying sword move. Bang! Jian Wushuang fell back several steps, but Azura was thrown straight back. After regaining his balance, Azura had a stronger battle intent in his eyes. Haha, I didn't expect that after my second move, I'd still be at a disadvantage. For that, you must take my third move. This time, Azura raised his axe with both hands. A more overwhelming power gathered in them. He attacked. It was a strike that looked like it could destroy the world. Jian Wushuang was extremely careful as he displayed the strongest move of the Boundless Heaven sword art he had mastered. The third move, Red Shade sword move. It became a battle of pure power again. With a deafening sound, the void seemed to explode completely. This time Jian Wushuang was thrown back like a shooting star. He even had a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. As for Azura, he fell back rolling, and it took great effort for him to regain his balance. His face was extremely pale. This Blood Mountain can fight with Azura. Is he really that strong? He wasn't that impressive in the previous selection, was he? The onlookers were stunned. The recruits exchanged looks of disbelief. The three old soldiers, especially the captain who had fought with Jian Wushuang before, were in shock. It was obvious that both Jian Wushuang and Azura were powerful beyond his imagination. Even after Azura had displayed his three strongest moves, the battle was still in a draw. There was no need for them to continue fighting. Blood Mountain. Azura looked at Jian Wushuang with frenzied eyes. You are really strong. I'm fortunate to have been able to fight with you before joining the Blood Eagle Guard. Blood Eagle Guard? The words aroused Jian Wushuang's interest. Are you saying you're going to join the Blood Eagle Guard? Yes. Azura nodded. I participated in the selection of the Royal Guard in order to join the Blood Eagle Guard. It is a place for the strong, while the Dragon Guard it is a place for the weak. Whether you can join the Blood Eagle Guard is not up to you, is it? Asked Jian Wushuang. Of course, but I have broken through the military pagoda the Blood Eagle Guard set up for challengers, and there is no problem with my identity. So, it's certain that I can join. Azura was confident. Oh, Jian Wushuang was starting to understand better. Azura's words show that he has a good knowledge of the Blood Eagle Guard. He knows how to join the Blood Eagle Guard, and he is quite confident in himself. Blood Mountain, you're no weaker than me. I could pass the test set by the Blood Eagle Guard, so could you? Aren't you going to try? Azura asked him. Does the test you mentioned refer to the military pagoda? Jian Wushuang responded with a question. Yes. Azura nodded. There are a total of 11 floors in the military pagoda. If you pass through the first 9 floors, you'll meet the requirements to join the Blood Eagle Guard. If you want to try it, I can take you there. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. The Blood Eagle Guard was the elite of the elite, and just as Azura had said, it was a place for the strong. The Dragon Guard was for the weak. Jian Wushuang was longing to join the Blood Eagle Guard. Chapter 837 Breaking Through the Military Pagoda. Chapter 837 Breaking Through the Military Pagoda. I'll seize every chance to join the Blood Eagle Guard. I want to try in the military pagoda. Could you show me the way? Come with me then, Azura consented. Jian Wushuang explained his plan to Ouyang Xian and the others and followed Azura to the military pagoda. The Blood Eagle Guard was a special organization in the Royal Guard, the elite of the elite. To join, first one had to be powerful. The Royal Guard had specially set up the military pagoda to test the challenger's power. The Black Pagoda stood towering in the center of the barracks. Here it is. Azura led Jian Wushuang to the front door of the pagoda. The test in this tower is very unusual, but it should not be a problem for you to make it to the 9th floor. Once you succeed, you can apply to join the Blood Eagle Guard. I see, thanks. Jian Wushuang nodded. Go on then, Azura said. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang strode into the Black Tower. He arrived on the first floor. This floor was a wide ground made of special materials, very hard, and in the center stood a cold figure. At a glance, Jian Wushuang could tell it was a puppet fighter. The moment Jian Wushuang went in, the puppet fighter immediately opened his eyes and started speaking. Challenger, you only need to hold up under my attacks for half an hour, then you can enter the next floor. Half an hour? Jian Wushuang repeated. Let's begin. Without another word, the puppet fighter made his move. Whoosh! The puppet fighter crossed 60 meters in one step, striking out his saber at the same time. The blade light went straight for Jian Wushuang. Well, Jian Wushuang had a rather strange look. He could tell that the puppet fighter was in step 3 but not powerful. He could defeat him directly, let alone holding on for half an hour under his attacks. It is not difficult to pass the first floor of this military pagoda. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. He defended himself casually without beating down the puppet fighter. When half an hour had passed, the puppet fighter immediately stopped attacking and let Jian Wushuang pass to the second floor. Walking along the stairs, Jian Wushuang came to the second floor of the tower. Same as the first floor, the second floor was also a large ground, and his opponents were at the same level as the puppet fighter on the first floor. The only difference was that there were 2 puppet fighters waiting for him. It was the same on the third floor, only there were 4 puppet fighters. On the fourth floor there were 8 puppet fighters. And so on. Jian Wushuang was so powerful that even though he had not transformed into an ancient god, he still overpowered the puppet fighters regardless of how high the floor was, or how many more puppet fighters he encountered. Before long, he reached the 9th floor of the tower. The puppet fighters on that floor were in step 3 as well, and there were 256 of them in total. The puppet fighters joined hands to attack Jian Wushuang. They worked together well. Normal step 4 Eternal Realm experts would barely be able to hold on for half an hour. However, Jian Wushuang was extraordinarily powerful and good at dealing with joint attacks. Back when he was in the Ancient God clan, he had gained a lot of experience in fighting against joint attacks. Jian Wushuang looked at ease as he fought with the 256 puppet fighters. Soon half an hour had passed. He passed through the 9th floor. On the 10th floor, he encountered 512 puppet fighters. Heavily outnumbered, Jian Wushuang could not fight as leisurely as before. He was suppressed by the puppet fighters and struggled for half an hour. Finally he passed through the 10th floor. As for the 11th floor, since Jian Wushuang did not intend to turn into an ancient god, it was impossible for him to pass it. In just a few moments he was defeated and his challenge ended. He walked out of the tower. How did it go? Azura immediately asked him. Not bad, I made it to the 10th floor. Jian Wushuang answered with a smile. What? The 10th floor? Azura was surprised. He looked at Jian Wushuang in amazement. He had only made it to the 9th floor and failed to pass the 10th after a moment of struggling. He was surprised that Jian Wushuang was at the same level as him but had made it further than him in the tower. Azura, I have passed the 10th floor and met the requirements for joining the Blood Eagle Guard. What should I do next? Jian Wushuang asked. Soon the Blood Eagle Guard will know that you have broken through the 10th floor. Someone will come to find you and ask if you want to join the Blood Eagle Guard. If you say yes, they will ask you some questions and you will give them your basic information. After they check and confirm it, they will let you join, Azura replied. Is it that simple? Jian Wushuang frowned hard. According to what he had heard from Ouyang-Su before, the Blood Eagle Guard standards were very high. However, now it seemed that it was not that high. Of course it's not that simple. Azura continued, to join the Blood Eagle Guard. First you have to be powerful. Generally you have to have reached step 4. Another requirement is regarding your identity. Identity? Jian Wushuang was confused. The Blood Eagle Guard is a very special organization. They carry out missions for the royal families, and many of the missions are about the internal conflicts between those families, therefore they have to act in secret. Naturally, they have some special requirements regarding the identities of their members. Azura immediately started explaining. Chapter 838 Investigation. Chapter 838 Investigation. Anyone who has been against the Tang of the East or is in conflict with the royal families, such as experts from the other 3 countries, will be excluded first. Those who come from the clans or have a close relationship with the clans will be excluded next. And finally, those whose identities remain unknown and can't be tracked will be excluded as well. Any of the above can't join the Blood Eagle Guard. After saying that, Azura was silent. He looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also pondered silently. He understood that the Blood Eagle Guard dealt with the royal family's secret matters and the clans might be their targets. As a result, no one from the clans could join. It was the same for experts from other countries. As for the last type, the unidentifiable people, Jian Wushuang belonged to this group of excluded people. Blood Mountain was an alias. If they actually checked into it, they would find that this person did not exist. That's to say, if I want to join the Blood Eagle Guard, I have to tell them my real name? Jian Wushuang's brow furrowed slightly. Blood Mountain, you looked worried. Are you one of the 3 types of people? Azura spotted Jian Wushuang's worry. To tell you the truth, Jian Wushuang replied, I'm not from the clans nor the 3 big countries. But I have a grudge against a large force in the Tang of the East, so I can't tell others my real name or it might cause trouble. Well, Azura looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile. Don't worry about that. As long as what you have done will not endanger the royal families, the Blood Eagle Guard will not care about it. Moreover, they will keep your secret from others. Really? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. I'm sure of this because I have a feud against a big clan in the Tang of the East as well. But as long as I will not endanger the royal family, the Blood Eagle Guard will accept me all the same. They will definitely keep secrets from me and will never let it out. This is a rule that has continued since its creation. This rule is as unshakable as iron, and no one can change it, not even His Majesty. Azura smiled. If that's the case, I don't need to worry anymore. Jian Wushuang was relieved. He had been worried that if he told the Blood Eagle Guard his real name, the Xia clan would find out and come to take revenge. Now, it seemed that his concern was unnecessary. Just as Azura had said, not long after Jian Wushuang passed through the 10th floor of the military pagoda, a scarlet-robed elder came to find him. The elder held a token from the Blood Eagle Guard, which confirmed his identity. Blood Mountain, I just learned that you have passed through the 10th floor of the military pagoda, so I came here to ask you if you're willing to join the Blood Eagle Guard, the elder asked indifferently. Of course I am. Jian Wushuang nodded. Record your name, background and experiences in this token, and I will bring it back to the commander for investigation. If you pass the investigation, I will come to take you to the Blood Eagle Guard's camp in person. The elder handed him a token. Jian Wushuang did what he had been told. Before he gave the token back to the elder, a restriction appeared on the token, locking his information. The Blood Eagle Guard really does do a good job in guarding secrets. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly and felt more assured. Please wait in your camp. You will receive our answer in a few days. After saying this, the elder left with the token. For the next few days, Jian Wushuang stayed in his camp waiting. Meanwhile, the elder submitted the information on Jian Wushuang and Azura to the Supreme Commander. There were several commanders in the Dragon Guard, and all of them were top step 6 of the Eternal Realm experts. In the Blood Eagle Guard, however, there was only one commander, and he was a Dao Master. The Dao Master's last name was Hong, therefore, the experts in the Tang of the East addressed him as Commander Hong or Master Hong. Blood Eagle Guard was the royal family's sharpest weapon, and each of its 1,000 members was a rare talent. Most importantly, to join the Blood Eagle Guard, one's information had to be reviewed by this commander first. After receiving the applications from Jian Wushuang and Azura, Commander Hong had some people track both of their backgrounds in person. It only took a day. In a scarlet palace, a handsome and indifferent 2-meter-tall man wearing a red cloak was carefully reading the 2 reports he had just received. The first report was about Azura. It turns out that Azura is the survivor of the evil Bei clan, the man the Dongyan clan has been hunting for. The Dongyan clan has a deep background in the Tang of the East. They were very well prepared when they wiped the Bei clan from this country. However, Azura somehow still escaped from their hands. Over the years, the Dongyan clan has tried hard to kill him, but he, on the contrary, has grown stronger through the hardships. He has now become a Step 4 expert and applied to join the Blood Eagle Guard. Commander Hong sighed in secret as he read the report. A moment later, he turned to read the information on Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, as soon as he started reading the report, he could not help but widen his eyes. This boy is even more amazing. He is the guy the deadly Xia clan is looking for. In the blood battle arena of the Circus Island, he wounded Xia Yan with 3 strikes. Then when he was on his way back, alone, Xia Yan tracked him with 2 guards at step 6 of the Eternal Realm all the way to the sea. There they had a secret fight. The others only knew that Xia Yan and his 2 guards were killed. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.